the season. It is indeed our pleasure to come today again to bring you this educational series, and it is on a wonderful topic. I call it wonderful because it is quite educating. And what is it? It is on the Nigerian Depository Receipts, NDRs. You know, in line with the NGX, Nigerian Exchange NGX mandate to promote investor participation in the Nigerian capital market, also enhance the secondary market liquidity and deepen the suite of available products. We thought it was indeed important that we bring this educational series to you on the Nigerian Depository Receipts. But we're not doing that alone. No, we have with us, this is being brought to you in collaboration with Vetiva Fund Managers, Lead Capital PLC, Association of Securities Dealing Houses of Nigeria, Action, Pension Funds Operators Association of Nigeria, PENOP, Fund Managers Association of Nigeria, FMAN, and Central Securities Clearing System PLC, CSCS. So you can see the group of people that came together to bring this very important topic to you today, that made it happen. And our gratitude is to them all. So, you know, I'm sure you're asking us, why did we wait till, or why didn't we wait till the new year to bring this to you? Well, the idea is to get you ready for the new year. As this series, this webinar aims to join the investors, whether retail or institutional, and intermediaries in the Nigerian capital markets, so that we can gain a comprehensive understanding of the scope of NDRs, readiness for 2025. So what will you gain today, you ask? From understanding the features, understanding the benefits of this novel product, to the end-to-end process of investing in them, so that in 2025, you're able to diversify your portfolios and make informed investment decisions. Yes, that's what we do at the NGX. We make sure that in terms of capacity building, you have the skills to excel. Wow. Today we have loads and loads of things to bring to you. Powerful people in the team or in the panel. Yes, there'll be a panel discussion to bring you more information. So please get out your pen, get out your notebook, get a glass of water, your tea ready, so that I tell you, it's going to be quite interesting indeed. And just to show you how important, and I hope you can hear me, if you have the react button there underneath, it'll be nice to get some reactions, but if not, I'm sure you can hear me. And to get it underway, and to show you how important this webinar is and the topic is, it is always a privilege, rare, but always a privilege to have this gentleman in our midst. We do not take it for granted. And who would that be? To give his opening remarks, no other than the CEO of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, Mr. Jude Chiemeka. Good morning and compliments of the season, Jude.
Good morning, Gochi. Same to you. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to rely on already established protocols. On behalf of the Board of Directors and Management of Nigerian Exchange Limited, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this timely and insightful webinar on Nigerian Depository Receipts, themed Nigerian Depository Receipts, Unlocking Global Investment Opportunities in the Nigerian Capital Market. This event is a testament to our ongoing commitment to driving innovation, expanding investment opportunities, and deepening the existing suite of products in the Nigerian capital markets. The remarkable story of depository receipts traces back to 1927, when JP Morgan pioneered the first depository receipt program for British retailer Selfridges. This groundbreaking initiative laid the foundation for modern cross-border investment. Today, depository receipts have evolved into a cornerstone of international finance, with leading exchanges including the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, London Stock Exchange, Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and Brazilian Stock Exchange, B3, hosting numerous depository receipt programs valued at trillions of US dollars. Recent data from JP Morgan indicates that depository receipts trading value reached 22.1 billion US dollars as at December 16th, 2024. The Brazilian market is a remarkable success story, with its Brazilian depository receipts program, listing over 1,000 Brazilian depository receipts, and that will be 833 stocks, BDRs, and 234 ETF BDR, and managing assets worth over 4.3 billion US dollars by as at 2023 year end. This achievement has attracted more than 1 million retail investors to international securities, significantly enhancing market liquidity and demonstrating how depository receipts can effectively connect local investors with global opportunities. As we stand at this pivotal moment in the Nigerian capital markets evolution, the introduction of NDRs will serve as a novel product. It will be a landmark achievement as the first of its kind in West Africa, thus representing a transformative milestone in our financial ecosystem. These instruments provide investors with diversified opportunities by granting access to foreign securities and play a significant role in enhancing market liquidity and encouraging portfolio optimization. At NGX, we have consistently expanded our product offerings across equities, fixed income, exchange traded products, and derivatives. And it's important to point out that we are truly a multi-asset exchange. Today, we have 153 equities that are listed. On the fixed income side, we have over 117 FGM bonds, 42 corporate bonds, 8 state government bonds that are listed on our platform, and we have 4 exchange-traded derivatives that are also listed. We have an ETF that is the second largest ETF market in Africa, and we have 12 ETFs that are listed on our platform. NDRs naturally complement this suite of products while addressing crucial market demands. As we continue to position Nigeria as a global investment destination, NDRs stand as a strategic product for meeting the needs of diverse investors, ranging from pension fund administrators, PFAs, institutional investors, to high net worth individuals and retail investors. Today's webinar serves as a platform to explore the features, benefits, and the regulatory framework of NDRs, while fostering robust dialogue among market stakeholders. I'm especially thrilled by the lineup of distinguished speakers and panelists whose expertise will undoubtedly enrich our understanding and illuminate the potential of NDRs in reshaping investment strategies. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed partners, Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, Betiva Fund Managers Limited, Lead Capital PLC, Association of Securities Dealing Houses of Nigeria Action, Pension Funds Operators Association of Nigeria PENOP, Fund Managers Association of Nigeria FMAN, and Central Securities Clearing System PLC, CSCS, for their invaluable contributions to this event and their unwavering support in advancing Nigeria's capital markets. As we delve into today's discussions, I encourage all participants to actively engage and explore the immense opportunities that NDRs present. Together, let us chart a course towards a more vibrant, inclusive, and globally competitive financial market. Thank you for joining us, and I wish you all an insightful and a productive session. Back to you, Ugochi.
Thank you so much, Jude. Thank you. And as always, indeed, we're privileged to have you here, setting the tone for this session. Thank you indeed. And yes, just as he has said, there is indeed a lineup. It's quite heavy. Do not think of leaving this webinar because we have full lineup, or just looking at the list. And so to get on with it, I'd like to call on the chairman of Action, Mr. Sam Onukwe, to please give us his remarks as well before we get this session underway. Mr. Sam.
Thank you, Ugochi, for the opportunity to be here and essentially for what you do for the market and what the exchange truly have been doing for the market. On behalf of members of our association and indeed our capital market operators, we would like to thank the NGX for always thinking of innovative ways of providing portfolio diversification opportunities for Nigerian investors. And this is one way that something we believe we create that opportunity. A lot of Nigerian investors have been looking to invest in securities outside this environment. Some have been doing so in ways and manners that are not truly clear to us. Let me just put it that way. But we have an opportunity now to do what we were going out to ask others to come and do here. Not too long ago, we had Nigerian companies issued a lot of GDR, Global Depository Receipts. But now we have an opportunity to do so locally, to provide investors the opportunity to invest in foreign securities through this Nigerian Depository Receipt. I think this is a great opportunity and on a better organized way of doing it for them. And I can assure you that our members and indeed the investors we represent will take due advantage of this. So I want to congratulate the exchange for bringing this up at this time. And I want to also congratulate our members for having this opportunity, especially at the end of the year, to begin to think of how to plan for the year ahead. So thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Sam. Compliments of the season to you. Thank you indeed. And to your members for all you do. Great. Now, to get underway, just before I call on the next speaker, my name is Ugochi Obi, and I oversee the affairs of the Academy of the Exchange. And to tell us a bit more about what NDRs are, you've been hearing NDRs for a while. What do they mean? And just a few minutes ago, Mr. Onukwe talked about GDRs. What do they all mean? What's the difference? And we have with us the head trading and products, no other than Mr. Bimbola Babalola, who we nickname as Bablo at the exchange, to give us his pick on what NDRs are, the features, the benefits, and the framework in 10 minutes. Mr. Bablo, compliments of the season.
Same to you, Ugochi. Good morning, all. Let me welcome you once again to our investors webinar. This morning, we'll be talking about Nigerian Depository Receipt, explaining some of the features, the benefits, and also the framework that we're going to use to implement this new product. So in terms of outline, I will be looking at the overview, where we are with the product, talks about use cases, benefits, and the framework that we're looking at. So really, what is Nigerian Depository Receipt? And I think like the CEO said, the history of receipt is not new, but this time around, as opposed to the global depository receipt, we're talking about the Nigerian depository receipt. This gives, these receipts are going to be listed on the exchange. It gives Nigerian investors opportunity to have access to some of the companies that are listed abroad, some of the brands that they've been using. You can see example of Samsung, Apple, and some. It also gives them the opportunity to convert their passion into portfolio. So you have something that you invest your time, emotion, and everything in. We can actually bring those companies in here, and you'll be able to invest in Naira and still make money in that investment. So this same thing, this receipt, once it is listed, the underlying asset is going to be a company or other asset classes. They are going to be trading based on the fundamentals of that company. You can see it also gives you an exposure in terms of expanding your knowledge base, because you are no longer going to just be analyzing companies that are listed in Nigeria, but you also be analyzing companies that are listed overseas, and it gives you an international exposure. So this NDR could be sponsored and could be unsponsored. When it is sponsored, it means it is the company itself, that foreign company, that is issuing that receipt. But if it is unsponsored, it means it's a financial institution. It could be a bank, it could be a fund manager or an asset manager that is issuing that receipt. You understand? After having obtained all the necessary regulatory approvals. So again, the advantage of this is that you are no longer trading on a foreign platform, because you don't know what could happen to these foreign platforms. You are trading on a platform that you are familiar with. You are investing in Naira. You are also working within rules and regulations of what you know in terms of trading time, in terms of everything. So you equally, because if the underlying asset is equities, it means that you have a voting right. Although you'll be voting through a proxy, and as soon as the company is doing well, they're giving dividend, you will also be benefiting from the dividend. In terms of what we have done as far as this product is concerned, the Securities and Exchange Commission has approved all the rules and regulations governing the trading of receipts in Nigeria. We've also worked with the IFRS on the issue of tax, as far as dividend is concerned. And also, PENCOM has also issued a guideline that shows that even our PFAs, our fund, our pension funds can also invest in this asset class or on this product. In terms of all the issuances, processes, and settlement workflow that has been developed, we've shared it with market participants and everybody. So we have a final product workflow. In terms of market readiness, we've socialized this with some people in the past, and this is also part of the effort that we're making to make sure that people are aware of this new product that is coming, that hopefully we pray and plan to launch, to start seeing first issuance first quarter of next year. And in terms of stakeholders engagement, we've engaged with almost all the stakeholders and also let them understand the significance and the benefit of this receipt. So the question, like I did mention, is like, this can be unsponsored, meaning it is not the issuer, it is not Samsung, it is not Apple as a company that is issuing this, but a bank or an asset manager or a fund manager. But fundamentally, this financial institution could issue receipt that is based on shares, which we call equities. They could also issue receipt that is based on fixed income in international exchanges. It could be based on exchange traded funds, it could be based on foreign treasury bills, and it could be based on euro bonds. These are the underlying assets, and you could still do more, as far as this is concerned. But the most important thing that we should know, the difference between it being sponsored and being unsponsored, is that when it is sponsored, it is Apple, it is Samsung that is issuing the receipt. But when it is unsponsored, it's a financial institution that is issuing that receipt. And that financial institution is well capitalized, and it is also well regulated. In terms of sponsored, like I said, that gives, if Samsung or any of these companies believe, they have a lot of market in Nigeria, and they can come directly and raise capital through their receipt in Nigeria. And again, once you embark on this, whether the company chooses to, it means that the company itself wants to register their presence and also show the country to say, yes, we know you people appreciate us, and we have a lot of customers in your country. We also want to have our presence there and issue a receipt. And like we said, similar to unsponsored, you still have the same privileges like you have as an ordinary shareholder. But like I said, when you are voting, you probably will be voting through proxy. And if there's dividend or benefit that the company is declaring, you will also benefit based on your holdings in that company. Now, what are the benefits that the market itself, an individual and the participant in the market stand to gain? This one is that we're now providing Nigerian investors, access to ability and opportunity to invest in foreign companies, without trading on other platform, but trading in Nigerian platform. And one good thing again is you are not bothered. You are trading and you are doing this investment in Naira. You understand? So you could diversify your portfolio. You could go to any area of interest, even if there are aspects that you don't have present in Nigeria, you could also participate in that. In terms of market development, we now have opportunity to deepen our market, to introduce more products into the market, and that is by itself creating new opportunities for market makers and also custodian and many participants in the market, because this is an opportunity for fund managers, for asset managers, for banks, for participants in the market to increase and broaden and expand and deepen the market. In terms of risk management, especially when it comes to currency risk management, for those of us who had exposure to foreign exchange risk, we could use this product to hedge against currency fluctuation, because if you invest in Naira, the company itself is in dollar or is in pounds. And as things are appreciating there, your own benefit, your own dividend, your own capital appreciation is also a reflection of the performance of that particular company. And like I said, for companies or PFAs that have foreign exchange portfolio, they could also expose themselves and take advantage of this opportunity. In terms of, for why are we even introducing this? For Nigerians, you are going to be operating in a regulatory comfort. You already know the regulation that governs our market. You don't have to start knowing and updating yourself about regulations that governs the foreign market. Once those receipts are listed in Nigeria, it's going to be regulated by Securities and Exchange Commission and also NGX based on our rules. And that is what you just need to familiarize yourself with. You don't have to start bothering yourself. Even if possible, we can have receipts of companies that are in different different continent of the world. You don't have to start bothering yourself, getting to understand the rules and regulation of those countries. Just understand the rules and regulation in Nigeria, and you are good to go. In terms of, so there are two major things that can happen with receipt. We can talk about issuance, and we cannot talk about cancellation. So this is let me just run you through. It means that whether it is the company or somebody that is sponsoring the unsponsored NDR, once that person comes to that position that I've done my market analysis and feasibility, and I believe this receipt will sell, it will approach the Securities and Exchange Commission to get approval for the program, because it might be a program, not a one-off thing. Once that is done, it will also get the registration done. Then it goes to the approval to NGX. Once we give the approval, then it will go about placing an order to buy the underlying asset in the foreign exchange. Once that is done, it will liaise with the custodian to create a receipt. So there are two things: the underlying asset itself and the receipt that is deriving its value on the underlying asset. It is at this point that they will meet with the CSCS to now create the receipt and issue a prospectus to the investing public, and the investing public will subscribe to the receipt that is deriving its value from the underlying asset, and allocation will be done, meaning all this receipt will be credited to our CSCS account, and from there we can continue with secondary market trading. Again, if after some time you feel like making cancellation, maybe you've done it, some people you've been able to sell and you want just similar to what companies do when they are either issuing bonus to increase the number of shares, or they are doing capital reconstruction. At this point, the sponsor again, we notify the Securities and Exchange Commission and get approval and inform the exchange about some of the receipt that they want to cancel. And this will go to CSCS, and they will issue instruction to the local custodian. The local custodian will now instruct the international broker to sell off that instrument, the foreign underlying asset or part of it. Once that is done, then they will deliver the sales proceeds to the issuer so that it can be distributed among the participants. So in summary, this is what this process is all about. The sponsor, whether the company itself or the financial institution, will select the security that they think people will be interested in. They will also determine the size and the number and the type. Once they finish with that decision, they have, as expected, they will do proper documentation and meet with all the stakeholders that will have a role to play in the issuance of this receipt. And they will also have an agreement with, they select the global and local custodian who will keep the underlying asset, because we don't want that the underlying asset must be ring-fenced and be protected. Once that is done, then that is when you make application to SEC, then you make application to NGX and also CSCS, then they will purchase the underlying asset, and once the receipt is issued, then they list that receipt on the exchange and we can start trading. I think that covers my own topic here. Ugochi, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Quite interesting. I have some questions listed out for you, but I'm also going to try to merge one or two together so that because of time. But I see that you've answered this, but it's asking that why can we buy shares listed abroad? If yes, how can we buy them locally? I think that was answered from your last slide, correct? And yes, so the next question will be, what are the advantages of the sponsored NDR over the unsponsored? Would there be a difference on the list of equities to enable us identify an NDR?
So yes, I think, like I did mention, if it is sponsored, it means it is the company itself that is selling the receipt to the people. And when it is unsponsored, it's a financial institution. Like I said, a bank can be the one that is doing that, or a fund manager or an asset manager. So when you say, would there be a difference on the list of equities to enable? So, let me put it this way. If there is, we're definitely going to differentiate between using our code. And something similar to what we do now is, at times you have a company that is listed and that same company is trading a right. So we have a convention, if it is right, we had something in front of that symbol that let people know, like today as we speak, there's First Bank shares that you can buy. You can also trade First Bank right. So we have this system of differentiating between these various asset type or asset equities.
Fantastic. The other question will be on who determines the price of the NDR, and how can one be notified about the sales of instruments? At what interval will the return on investment be?
So who determines the price will be who is the sponsor. And when I mean the sponsor here, I'm trying to say, if it is sponsored NDR, it will be the company itself. And if it is the asset manager or the banks that is doing that, they will do the valuation, and it's simple. So let's assume that I am a bank that wants to sponsor Samsung or Apple in Nigeria. So I can set aside $1 million to buy the underlying asset in the international market. So I know the quantity of what I'm doing. Now, based on the exchange, I might say one Apple shares is equal to 1,000 NDR, that is Nigerian Depository Receipt. By so doing, I'll be able to determine the starting price. So in terms of, I set the starting price. Once that primary auction is done at a price, in the secondary market, it is the forces of demand and supply that will determine the price going forward after the receipt is listed. And these forces of demand and supply is also directly with the performance of that particular, of the company that is underlying the NDR. So if it is Samsung or Apple, that, like I said, as Apple is performing in the international market, if the price is appreciating, it's expected that in the NDR too, the NDR must also be appreciating. So again, in summary, like I said, at the issuance of the NDR, it is the banks or the company that will determine that primary market price. But once it is listed, whether the price will continue to appreciate or depreciate is based on the fundamental performance of the underlying asset. So what's the second question, Kochi?
That's all we can take, unfortunately, for now. But there's a session at the end for more questions, and we can take most of those then. So thank you so much. And just to let everybody know that you can actually get a recording of this seminar, of this webinar, and others that have been in place from our YouTube channel, the NGX YouTube channel. So please put that on dial, subscribe to it, so that as the videos keep coming in, it will get to you, you'll be notified. So please just take a few seconds after this webinar so you don't miss any session to quickly subscribe to the NGX YouTube channel so you can get the recording and listen over and over again. In terms of the materials, yes, you will get that. You have gotten the assurance of the NGS communication team to say that they will send that to you, to your email of the previous and also of this one. Indeed, we're here to work for you and to serve you. Now, I find the next topic very interesting and unique, and that is NDR transactions, demystifying the settlement framework. Already, Onome, we have 1 or 2 questions already for you in anticipation. So please help us to come up to speak about the demystifying the settlement framework and compliments of the season to you. So here we have Onome Komolafe, who is the Divisional Head, Business Services and Client Experience at CSCS. Onome, please. Hi, Onome. Can you hear me? Yes, I can see you.
Okay. So should I go ahead? Sorry, I was out for a bit there.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll be sharing my slides. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining. Thank you, Mr. Babalola. You've actually done most of the work for me. So I think I will just pick up from where you stopped. So we would sorry, I have to go to the beginning of the slides. Okay, so we already have listened to Mr. Babalola in terms of what NDRs are. They are negotiable certificates, and so that means that you can actually trade them and after issuance at the primary market by the sponsor, and if it's not a sponsored NDR, by whoever investment house is actually issuing them. Now, my presentation will speak to what happens background after the listing. How do you trade? How do you settle trades that have been done on the NDR? What's the process for the settlement, for the cancellation? What happens there? But we'll just as a refresher to just speak about, who are the entities in terms of the whole NDR process. There's a sponsoring entity, and that's if it's a sponsored NDR. And if it's not a sponsored NDR, there's always the entity that actually brings in the investment into the local market. which I mean, sometimes you may not refer that person as a sponsoring entity because it's not actually the company that the shares that is being traded, but is actually the person who actually, or the entity who brings that investment into the local market, and in this instance, the Nigerian market. There's the depository banks who are the custodians of the underlying shares and the issuers of these NGLs. There's also the exchanges, the brokers, and CSCS that facilitates securities settlements. We will speak a bit more to that. And then the settlement banks that are also our partners in terms of the settlement process on this. Also the custodians, you have the local and international custodians who liaise in the process of ensuring that there is a proper record in terms of the assets that are in place, both in the local market and in the international market of issuance. Then NIPS also is a partner with CSCS to handle the cash side of the settlement process. And of course, the SEC, who oversees compliance across every other party that I had mentioned earlier on this. So what is CSCS role in the NDR process? What exactly do we do? Our first role is as a registrar and a transfer agent. So we maintain the register. CSCS maintains the register of all NDR holders locally. And so we facilitate the necessary intermarket transfers between Nigeria and whatever other country that the investment is coming in from. So between the domestic market in Nigeria and the foreign market. We are also the CST for the NDRs because we keep records of this of these investments in this investors securities account, similar to what you would have in the kind of records that we keep today in terms of investment in securities. Remember that NDRs are actually similar investment to securities. It's just that they are their investment in entities that are not local to Nigeria. But again, the transactions are done in local currency, and the denomination of the investment is not exactly in the same value that you have in the foreign market. That's really the major difference, just to quickly state that. And so to make us comfortable to see that the NDR process is quite similar to what you have in the local process in terms of the investments that you do on the Nigerian exchange. The difference is that you are not investing in a local company, and also again in terms of the number of shares that you're investing. So for example, if the share is maybe a 1 for 10, so maybe it's a single unit in the foreign markets, and then in the local market that is denominated as 10 units. And so that's really the major difference as we go on in this, so that as we speak about the clearing and settlement, it doesn't look like it's so much different. And again, just to make sure that we move from a known to unknown as we have these conversations. Now, what are the key transactions that happen on the NDR? There's the NDR issuance, which I mean is the beginning of the whole transaction. Dividend payment, bonuses, how would that be handled locally? You make an investment in a foreign market, how do you handle that locally? And then the NDR trade settlement. When trades happen in the secondary market, how is it also handled? So we'll just quickly go through these 4 key transaction types. Now, the NDR issuance process speaks to how do we start this NDR process from the beginning. How is it issued in the local market? You make an investment in a foreign company, in Apple, right? And you want to make that investment in Apple, and you're in Nigeria. This NDR, how is it issued? Now, the sponsoring entity, and please, as we go on, like we had spoken to the fact that it may or may not be a sponsored NDR, but if it's a sponsored NDR, I would refer to a sponsoring entity. And if it's not a sponsored NDR, it will refer to whichever asset manager has brought in the NDR into the local market. Now, the sponsoring entity would forward the completed issuance form to CSCS, and state the equivalent NGR of the underlying units that have been issued. In terms of, okay, I think there's a typo there, in terms of the primary market, and then this will be credited to the sponsoring entity's CSCS account. So there's a sponsoring entity, and that entity, for example, is a Coca-Cola, or maybe Coca-Cola, we have Coca-Cola in Nigeria, maybe it's an Apple, for example, and that Apple account will be credited with CSCS to say this is the amount of NDR you have. Again, we refer to the units. We refer to the units involved because it's maybe one Apple shares for 10 NDR units in Nigeria. So it's not, usually NDRs are not 1 for 1. They could be 1 for 20, 1 for 100, depending on how the sponsoring entity decides to structure it. Now, when this account is credited, CSCS confirms to the sponsoring entity's custodian that the sponsoring entity's CSCS account has been credited, and that's also the total number of NDRs in the Nigerian market. It's also important to note that as this is being created in the local market, this is also being updated in the foreign markets, because you also don't want a duplication in the number of units of shareholding in the company as a whole. So as you if I'll use this word, as you create in the local market here, you also reduce that volume in the international market, because again, remember that the number of units of shares in the company as a whole is finite. And so that update is very, very important. And so you have the total number of NDRs in the Nigerian capital market, and this total number are the total tradable units in the depository and the total tradable units in the Nigerian market. So you have made this investment in Apple, the NDR has been created, depending on the ratio, whatever ratio it is. The NDR is updated in CSCS account. CSCS advises all the parties, the sponsoring entity custodians, and actually even the sponsoring entity itself, and of the total, and the NGX of the total tradable receipts in the Nigerian market. That in terms of Apple shares, for example, this is the total that you have in the Nigerian market which can be traded. Now that speaks to the issuance process. Now, in terms of cancellation, again, there might be reason again to do a divestment from the NDR. Again, a similar process, but in reverse this time. You get an instruction from the sponsoring entity to cancel the NDR units from the Nigerian market. And based on that, that tradable unit has to be withdrawn. Again, we have to keep it at the back of our mind that total number of units for the company, for the Apple, is finite. So you have to make that withdrawal from the local market in Nigeria. And so it is expunged from the local markets such that it doesn't exist and updated in the foreign market. CSCS will confirm this cancellation to the sponsoring entities, to NGX as well. Again, to make sure that there is proper record of the available tradable receipts in the Nigerian market. Now, when it comes to corporate actions, the same way you want to also ensure that as an investor in Nigeria, you get to benefit from whatever corporate actions that occur in respect of the entity that you have invested in. The sponsoring entity foreign account is credited with whatever underlying bonus that has been issued. And that information, again, is passed from the sponsoring entity to CSCS. CSCS updates the necessary records locally for the investors, creates this stock dividend NDRs, and credits the qualified holders' accounts, again, for this bonus issues, and then forwards to the NGX, the sponsoring entity, the full updated register based on this credit, the post-bonus credit, stating the number of stock dividend created, number of qualified holders, and number of accounts successfully credited. Again, to make sure that the investors in the local market benefit from this bonus, because again, they are investors. So even though these bonus issues are being done in the foreign market, this record again is updated in your local accounts. Again, because you are a bona fide investor, and seen as one in that invest in that company, even though the company may not be a local company. Same process again for the cash distribution. Again, this just to give us that assurance that it doesn't matter that because you are in Nigeria and you're investing in this NGR in Nigeria and the company is a foreign company, you do not have the same rights or benefits in terms of how your investment returns would be on that company. So the cash dividend process, similar to what I have said, CSCS will forward the register of qualified holders to the sponsoring entity. Again, similar to what we have, I had said at the beginning of my presentation that we should just base this discussion on our knowledge of what transpires in the local market. The way you would also, but this time, the register is forwarded to the qualified holders of the qualified holders to the sponsoring entity, and based on that, qualified, of course, based on the payment date, qualified holders are credited in Naira for the dividend, and CSCS confirms status of cash dividend distribution again to all the parties involved, to the custodian, to the sponsoring entity, and to NGX. So for every investor, you would still have your bonus shares updates, you will still have your cash dividend distribution in terms of corporate actions that are happening in the company that you have invested in through the NDR in the Nigerian market. Now we quickly talk about the trade settlement. Just again to reiterate that the trade settlement process is the same thing that we currently have for the local market. It's a T+3 settlement process that we have today in the market, and so the NDR also follows that. The security class is listed on the exchange platform. The settlement model is the same that we have, which is the Bank of International Settlement Model 2, which is gross securities. The securities, the NDR is settled 1-for-1, and cash is settled on a net basis. The trade life cycle, the same thing. There's a pre-validation of the trade, like we do today in the local market for local instruments. The trading happens, and then the settlement happens post-trade. Settlement runs at real time. What does that mean? Updates are done in terms of how the trades are being done, are being executed, and so settlement is being updated in terms of the value of transactions that are happening. So those values are being updated in real time as we do that. Fund settlement, again, the Nigerian market uses central bank money because our settlement is done through the Bank of Nigeria, and so there's that assurance that the possibility or the likelihood of failure on trades is very, very almost nil. You could even say nil, because we have access to central bank funds. This just speaks again to the settlement process, which again we are familiar with in terms of how stocks are settled in the local market. On date T, the trades are executed on the floor of the exchange, they are matched and confirmed, and this information is transmitted to CSCS. CSCS sends net financial obligations to the stockbroking firms, to the custodians, and to the settlement bank. On the T+1, reviews of positions are made, escalations are made of unfunded positions to the various parties. The settlement bank will escalate to CSCS to let us know of unfunded positions in their accounts. And then on T+2, the settlement report is sent to the bank. The banks would ensure that various entries are passed as may be necessary on T+3 when they receive the final settlement advice from from NIPS through CSCS. Now, it is important to also state that this is the same process. Again, I reiterate that we already have in the local market for our transactions. So there's really nothing that will change. So we have that assurance that the settlement process will be the same as we have currently. The settlement cycle is T+3. The settlement process is the same. The notifications are the same, the way we would have them. We have them currently in the markets. And that will be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Onome, for that. Like I mentioned to you, there are already questions even before you started to you. Yes, but I see that you've already answered that, especially on the trade cycle. But there's still one, which is how will the distributions be executed, and would they be done in a currency? How will the dividend distributions be executed, and will there be a choice in currency? Forgive me.
So first of all, there will be no choice in terms of currency. Dividends will be in Naira, and dividend distribution will be done through the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System. So that's how it will be done. We would advise.
Great. And the final one.
Yes, go
Forgive
ahead.
me, please finish up.
No, it will be done through the NIPS, and credits will be done to the various accounts of shareholders.
Great. The final one for you for this session is, what is the role of CBN in NDR as touching the FX aspect of the NDR transaction?
Okay, I may not be able to speak fully as to what CBN will do, but remember that CBN is responsible for regulating FX transactions in Nigeria. So I think one major role we would see is around the exchange rates. Again, remember that these investments are going to be in foreign currencies, and we're going to have to convert to local currency and make dividend payments in local currency. I think one major issue or one major role of the CBN will be the determination of the exchange rates to convert those returns on, because as you receive from the sponsoring entities, it will be in foreign currency, but you're going to pay investors in local currency. I think a major role of the central bank there will be in terms of what exchange rate would be used to determine how those people are made. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have lots of questions. And for you listeners, if you check the answered portion of the Q&A, you see that some of the questions have been answered. Just so that at the end of the day, when we finish the panel discussions, there's a place for questions. We'll still be able to answer more questions. So please keep dropping your questions in the Q&A using the Q&A feature, and they will be answered. Thank you so much, Onome, for that. Now, we go on to the panel discussion. And I tell you that the lineup is indeed interesting, just as the CEO had mentioned. The panel discussion will be on potentials of NDRs to rejig investment and portfolio management strategies in the Nigerian investment landscape. To potentials of NDRs to rejig investment and portfolio management strategies in the Nigerian investment. And the moderator for this very interesting, insightful session and panel discussion will be Ayomide Oguntoye, who is the Communication and Engagement Officer for the Nigerian Exchange NGX Group. Ayo, compliments of the season.
Good morning, Ugochi. Thank you very much, and compliments of the season to you and to everyone on here today. Good morning, everyone, once again. We've had an interesting sessions. I mean, from the panel, from the presentations we've had, I guess we've got into the crux of the meat, which of course is the panel discussion. I'm hoping to have an insightful discussion with my panelists. I have a very long list of panelists, very interesting one. I'll have different market stakeholders here represented here today. And yeah, so we hope to have like very interesting session this morning. Today, we want to talk about the potentials of NDRs to rejig investments and portfolio management strategies in the Nigerian investment landscape. And I must say thank you to Mr. Abimbola Babalola and Ms. Onome Komolafe, who has set the tone for this discussion. But I would like to hear from every other person that are here. Plus, let me quickly introduce my panelists. First, we have Mr. Abdul Kadir Abbas, who is the Head Securities and Investment Services Department. Head Securities and Investment Services Department here, that's Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, Apex regulator. We have Oludare Moses Adenekon, the Chief Operating Officer of Fund Managers Association of Nigeria, FMAN. We have Ms. Oyelade Egbe, who is the Managing Director at Vetiva Fund Managers Limited. We have Ms. Taiwo Shonola, the Head Global Financial Institutions and Investor Services at UBA GIS. We have Ms. Onome Komolafe. She is the Divisional Head Business Services and Client Experience at CSCS. We have Mr. Labran Musa. He is the Head Risk Management and Compliance at Lead Capital PLC. And of course, we have Mr. Akimbola Akintola. He is the Head of Investor Relations and Research at PENOP. And then we have Mr. Abimbola Babalola, the Head Trading and Products NGX. Thank you all for joining us today. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to be starting with our regulator, which is SEC. That's Mr. Abdul Kadir. Are you here, sir?
Good morning.
Yes,
Hello,
good morning. Good morning, sir. It's good to see you. Thank you very
Good to
much.
see you.
Yes.
Good morning.
All right, so let's get straight into it. Now, as the apex regulator of the Nigerian capital market, the SEC, of course, plays a crucial role in ensuring that investor protection and market integrity is top-notch. Now, what are the specific measures that SEC would be implementing to facilitate the issuance and listing of these NDRs on the exchange, and then while simultaneously safeguarding investor interest in NDR transactions?
Thank you very much, Ayo. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's really a pleasure for me to be part of this very important conversation. First of all, to commend the organizers, the NGS, for organizing this forum. Secondly, just to say just a few things before I respond to your question. The SEC have been proactive in this regard because we had this rule since 2017, if I could remember. The Commission came up with a rule on GDR and NDR. And since that time, we have never had good traction. So it's really a very important conversation now that the market is really trying to realize the potential of GDR and NDR, in particular NDR. So for the SEC, we have set up a framework and we have very good safety valves in the framework in terms of enhancing or trying to protect or putting a mechanism for protection of the investors. First of all, the framework entails before you come to issue NDR in Nigeria, first of all, that security has to be registered by the SEC. That's one of the building blocks. And in registration, which is the hallmark of any activity, you have to now comply with certain requirements. First of all, the filing has to be made with the SEC, and I think Babola touched on that in his presentation, talking about filing the prospectus information memorandum of the proposed NDR that you intend to issue in Nigeria. And in that prospectus, there are certain requirements towards enhancing that, towards ensuring that we actually protect the interests of the investing public. One, you have to clearly give details about the underlying securities, the profile of the entity that you intend to issue NDR on. So that is very clear in the issuance document, which will be filed with the SEC. SEC will need to vet it, and then approval will be given. And that is just one. The second aspect has to do with even the underlying security. Based on our regulation, we clearly stipulate that that security has to be, a security that has been listed in a primary exchange which is a member of World Federation of Exchanges. So that is another key ingredient in terms of investor protection. So we don't want any how company or anyhow underlying security to come to Nigeria and then issue NDR. No, you have to satisfy this kind of requirement. And of course, we have other requirements in terms of providing this oversight. And that is why we said, look, this is one area that we need to really support in terms of giving opportunities to Nigerian investors to have exposure in foreign stake in a more transparent manner. There are clear disclosure, clear monitoring mechanism, which SEC has put in place. And of course, the exchanges where this NDR will be listed has additional responsibility that has been splitted in the SEC rule for them to provide reporting to the SEC, as they go along with the trading. So these are really clear building blocks. So I can say that the SEC has been ready, ever ready since 2017 by coming up with this framework and putting all these mechanisms in place. The whole idea is to do it in such a transparent manner that will ensure the principal plank of regulation, which is investor protection. So in this case, I can comfortably say that we have very good mechanism in place in terms of ensuring that investors are well protected going through this route of investing or getting exposure into foreign stocks via NDR that would be properly registered, regulated, and then oversight, ongoing monitoring will be provided by the SEC. Of course, in collaboration with the trading platform and other market infrastructures that are involved, in the issuance and trading of this instrument. So I think that is just in a nutshell, my response in terms of the safety valves that the SEC put in place to ensure the protection of the investors. And you can see that once you open up in terms of having clarity in regulation, both institutional investors and retail investors will be comfortable in trying to come to the market by either issuing, whether it is going to be sponsored. And just to add to that, for the sponsored NDR2, we also have mechanism in place to profile the issuers who are the sponsors, the sponsoring entity. But if it is not unsponsored, we also have that, clear, mechanism of who will actually be the issuer. You have to be registered with the SEC as well. So I can say in a nutshell, we are very much, comfortable with what you have, as the framework. And we believe the market can actually thrive. We're indeed challenging the market since that year that we issued the rule. What is happening? We have opened up this space, but we have not yet seen traction. At least we have seen traction in terms of GDR, but we have not yet seen traction in terms of NDR, which is one of the areas that we need to really galvanize the market. So let me just stop here for now. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I mean, it is good to know that SEC has been ready since 2017, and then I understand with conversations like this, we of course know that we're just going to get traction for the NDRs as well. Thank you very much, sir. Let me go to Vertiva Fund Managers. That's Ms. Oyelade Egbe. Are you here, ma?
Yes, good.
Okay, yes. Thank you. Good morning. Okay, so with your extensive market experience, could you please touch or walk us through your assessments of these market opportunities that make NDRs an attractive investment vehicle, specifically how these opportunities align with your vision of transforming portfolio management strategies in Nigeria? I mean, maybe let's look at it within like the next 3 to 5 years.
Thank you so much, Ayomide, and compliments of the season to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here. This is, I would say, it's a landmark discussion that we're having as we develop our markets, and it's very crucial. And it's a timely one in particular, considering the times that we're in. When I think about NDRs and how, please confirm you can hear me clearly, please.
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. So I would say when I think about NDRs, I just think about them as a vehicle for investors to be able to diversify their portfolios at Vertiva. And I think, as with any proper asset management company, you would think of first diversifying within asset classes diversifying across asset classes, diversifying across currencies, diversifying across geography. And I think NDRs make this very easy and seamless. And why do I say that? You know, NDRs are basically a vehicle that can help bring in securities from other clients into a new client. So we're talking about bringing securities from other countries, other exchanges into Nigeria in this instance. And so you're by that doing, number one, you're diversifying your geography. So you're not just investing within Nigeria, we are investing outside Nigeria. Number two, you're not investing outside Nigeria, your currency is in which you're investing in sort of changes. However, the NDR gives you the opportunity to still invest in your local currency, but you're getting the benefit of a security that is listed in a foreign currency. So you're able to buy the securities in Naira. However, the underlying security is going to, is denominated in dollars. So your NDR pricing or valuation will move in tandem with the underlying security price, as well as the movement in the exchange rate. So a good example would be how we have seen the gold ETF. While that's not an NDR, but you can see the new gold ETF that is listed on Nigerian Stock Exchange, while trading in Naira, derives its value from the value of gold and also from the value of the dollar exchange rate, Naira dollar exchange rate. And then we talk about diversifying across asset classes. I think part of Mr. Babalola's discussion reflected that it could be invested. The NDRs can be any security, it could be equity, it could be exchange traded funds from other clients, it could be commodities, it could even be Euro bonds, treasury notes. So you're able to also diversify across asset classes, and then even within asset classes. For us at Vertiva, I think something that is very key, and I'm so glad that the NGX is, also pioneers this, is the deepening of our market. And I think this transforms the market. So over the last few years, I would say 5 to 10 years, we've seen the exchange traded funds market grow in Nigeria. And I'm proud to say that Vertiva, has been one of the market participants, that had put in significant effort into creating awareness for the exchange traded funds market. And we see the NDR as another avenue of growing. If you're looking at the current market capitalization in Nigeria in terms of equities, it's currently 60 trillion or 60.9, that's about 61 trillion. In dollar terms, I think that is just about $30 billion or so, rough and dirty. And then you look at ETFs, ETFs AUM in Nigeria is just about 12.48 billion. But then, if you look at the NASDAQ or the NYSE, we're talking about trillions of dollars in market capitalization. So what the NDR does is that it expands our market, because then you're able to bring in securities from other markets that have a larger base. And that would increase, the participation in the market, and it gives the investors the opportunities to even look further. So I would say that why would we consider it an attractive investment vehicle? I would say number one, it gives access to foreign markets. Number two, it provides a level of currency hedge, portfolio diversification, primarily, like I had mentioned. I think another thing which Onome also discussed and Mr. Babalola was income. Depending on the security that is being created or the underlying, there's also the possibility of earning, income via dividends and distribution. I think a good priority would be that you have access to 6 sectors and markets globally that otherwise you wouldn't have had access to, or maybe difficult for you to have access to as an investor. And I think I also I like Mr. Abbas's comment. He's saying these securities are registered in Nigeria, so you're not just going to purchase any security from anybody. There has been or there will be significant regulatory work that would have gone on to ensure that those bringing in those securities are adequately positioned to ensure investor protection. So I think the investor protection is very paramount as well. at least you know that you're on a secure platform from the NGX, you have secure settlement, you have CSCS, you have custodians in place to ensure the underlying securities are adequately held and are protected. So I think there's a lot in the mix that makes it easier for investors. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it actually does. I mean, thank you very much for your perspective on that. I mean, you've touched on like every bit of it. The fact that this gives access to like foreign markets, and of course there is also investor protection attached to it, so there is no fear or any sort of that. And then you also have like access to like diversification across all asset classes. Thank you very much for that. Let me come to Miss Taiwo Shonola. Yes, I can see you. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. All right. So as we move towards like launching the NDR in the Nigerian capital markets, could you outline the custodian's role and strategy in ensuring the security and safeguarding of investor assets related to NDR transactions, while also effectively handling corporate actions and entitlements for NDR holders?
Okay, thank you. And thank you. Before I start, I just wanted to thank NGX for the opportunity for UBA to be part of this new project. Okay, so what are we doing to ensure the security and safety of the NDRs? First off, we'll open a safe custody account, which will be a segregated account. So that the NDR will not be commingled with other clients' assets. It is very crucial that that is put in place, and to avoid any potential or financial difficulties. So in the unlikely event of the custodian bank, as you well know, UBA is a custodian bank, the NDRs will not be affected, or if, for instance, the bank goes insolvent, the NDR will not be affected in any way. Secondly, we'll ensure that there's regulatory compliance. We've definitely adhered to both local and international laws, as well as we've said, the securities are going to be foreign securities that will be purchased in the offshore market. So we have to ensure that we adhere to both local and regulatory laws. Thirdly, insurance coverage that will have to be put in place to ensure that the NDRs, the assets are safe and adequately insured. Now, we also ensure strict protocol in terms of authenticating transactions that we receive to be sure that there are access control and for strict internal control, and that only authorized personnel are authorized to transact on the NDRs. Another thing we tend to do is regulatory audit of the NDRs in our custody to ensure that we regularly audit the NDRs in our custody to be sure for safety and integrity of the NDRs. As you well know, these NDRs will be held for investors, and of course they need to be sure that their assets or their their NDRs are safe. Of course, there will also be monthly regulatory report, as Mr. Abata said. They have their plans that they've put in place, and of course, and I'm sure that will be required to render monthly and quarterly report as we do with other assets that we are holding. A lot have been said a lot has been said on our role as custodians, as you're aware, and with respect to corporate actions, Onome also touched on it. So when corporate event is declared, we'll engage. Notify the CSCS of the corporate event and also notify them of the expected distribution. CSCS will provide this schedule of investors their entitlement, and as custodian will credit the necessary investors' account. So that in a nutshell is what we'll be doing to ensure the security and safety of the NDRs being invested by our investors. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for that submission. Let me come to the Lead Capital PLC. That's Mr. Labran Musa. Good morning. You've been here all along. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So,
good morning,
yes.
Mr. Onome. Thank you Thank you.
So let's do a quick comparison as to comparing these NDRs to traditional investment products, right? So as an asset management firm, I mean, drawing from your depth of knowledge, what specific benefits do NDRs offer to investors that traditional investment products may not?
Thank you very much, Onome. Before that, I would like to respond to what Ola about said when he actually presented. He actually did his presentation. In terms of dividend payment, for those investors that actually want to invest in NDR, we have an option either to invest in Naira or to also invest in USD. It is not so within the framework of that as provided by there's an option. You either have to, as an investor, you need to invest. You have to invest in Naira or to invest in USD. So that has to actually be clear. Then in terms of transaction costs, the transaction cost for NDR, it takes the same shape of the transaction cost for the equity transaction in Nigerian capital market. For equity transaction in Nigerian capital market, it's 1.35%. So that is what NDR also as when it's being listed on the floor of Nigerian Stock Exchange. So coming to your question, what are the advantages that the NDR will benefit, investing in Nigerian capital market? There are a lot of advantages that Nigerian investors benefit in investing in Nigerian capital. Let me take you back to let's look at market development in the last 2 decades. From 2022, the capital market, the Nigerian capital market, the Nigerian capital capitalization actually moved from 749 billion to 13.2 billion in 2007. That was 2007, before the market meltdown. Immediately after the market meltdown, what happened? There was panic selling because the foreign portfolio investors actually pull out their funds from the Nigerian capital market. As at that time, the percentage in terms of ratio, in terms of percentage of foreign portfolio investors to domestic investors is, I don't have the numbers now, but it's around 60% to 40% foreign portfolio investors to local investors. So when they pull their fund out of the Nigerian capital market, there was a panic selling that actually made the Nigerian capital market to actually decline to about 64%. That actually affected the Nigerian capital market during the market meltdown of 2008-2009. So between 2009 and 2008, the Securities and Exchange Commission actually went back to the drawing board to look at what are the issues that actually make the Nigerian capital market to actually nosedive. So they actually focus on domestic investment. And in doing so, what did they do? They actually came up with policies and programs that actually encourage local investors to invest in the Nigerian capital market. Such policies have to do with the financial inclusion policy and e-dividend. So as at 2020, when we experienced another lockdown, another market crisis as a result of lockdown, that is COVID-19, Nigerian capital market was adjudged as the best performing market in the global market. Fast forward to October this year, if you look at the ratio of foreign portfolio investors as released by NDRs to domestic investors is less than 10% compared to the local investor. Local investors are doing almost 90%. So at this point in time, there is need to look at what kind of product can SEC, introduce to the Nigerian capital markets that will balance the equation in such a way that the local investors will be pleased to invest in the Nigerian capital market. And at this point in time, that product is NDR. What is NDR? NDR is Nigerian Depository Receipt. Nigerian Depository Receipt just like introduce a global security or a global asset in the Nigerian products, in Nigerian capital market jurisdiction that will enable the Nigerian investors to also invest in that particular product. By investing in that particular product, you are also trying to hedge against any kind of foreign exchange risk that might come from maybe as a result of global event, maybe exchange rate risk, or a kind of global event as a result of the Western pronouncement or the BRICS pronouncement. So this has actually this product now will actually help us to actually mitigate against any kind of risk that will come, that the Nigerian investors will actually experience in terms of align their product, their portfolio to the global portfolio. So good way is a good thing for us to align ourselves with the global community. So NDR is a product that enables us to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Musa. Thank you for your submission. Let me go to PenUp, Mr. Akintola, Mr. Abimbola Akintola. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, Aramide.
Good morning. Thank you. Now, the pension industry remains a key contributor to global assets. Now, given the significant asset base of the Nigerian pension funds, now what considerations would PFAs evaluate when deciding to include NDRs in their investment portfolios?
Thanks, Aramide. Thank you to the NGX and my fellow panelists. This has been a long time coming, so I'm very happy that we are having this conversation. For the PFAs, I think the considerations are quite simple. I think the first thing will be liquidity. PFAs, any assets that the PFAs invest in, nobody wants to hold those assets in perpetuity. So is there a market to offload those assets if needs be? I think the second thing is the pricing. The pricing has to be transparent. It has to be transparent, and also the fees need to be reasonable for the PFAs to consider this instrument. I think another will probably be, access to research information about the underlying assets, because I know the PFAs, they are very thorough. They will want to do their research on the underlying. So, would they be able to make informed decisions to be able to invest in the receipts, depository receipts? I think another probable consideration will be, the settlements and the custody arrangements, because that has to do with reporting, that has to do with valuation. PFAs are valued, have to do a daily valuation. So do the arrangements make it possible and make it easy to have all those things in place? So I think those four key things are just will be the major considerations for the pension funds. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Let me quickly, we're running out of time. I just want to touch on everybody so to get perspective as to the different market stakeholders here present. To FMAN, Fund Managers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Oludare Moses Adeniko. Good morning. Are you here?
Good morning. I am
yes,
there. Yes,
morning. Thank you. All right, so let's get your perspective as to, as fund managers face increasing demands for portfolio diversification, how can Nigerian Depository Receipt serve as a strategic tool to expand investment opportunities? Now, also given FMAN's pivotal position in Nigeria's capital markets ecosystem and your members' deep understanding of cross-border investments, I mean, what are the specific advantages do you think we should anticipate NDRs will offer fund managers?
All right. Thank you, Ayomide, and good morning, everyone. Compliments of the season. And I would say that indeed, this is a dream come true for FMAN. And why I said so is because we've been clamoring for this, for a while now. This in the last 5 and the reason has always been because of the first statement you made as request to increase in demand for portfolio diversification from our clients, of our members' clients. So it's really, it's going to be a game changer for our members, as in fund managers in Nigeria, because basically we've really been, playing in one circle, all the traditional assets that we're playing in, and from inception, will now have a new leaf that we can then play in. So a very, very, very important opportunity that this will bring to fund managers in Nigeria is creating innovative and financial products. Mr. Babalola, Ms. Igbe, and several other people have spoken with regards to other opportunities, which is, of course, diversification of currency portfolios and all of that. So now touching on that is that it's going to create an avenue for our members, fund managers to, create financial products that will answer requests from the market, because we've received requests from markets as regards to these are spaces too shallow. We've seen everything. We want new things, and I can tell you categorically that after this webinar, there's going to be a flood of requests to the SEC for application to the SEC to have this listed and have this approved for their products. And one major thing again, that is there's going to be some sort of confidence in the investing public, because where they now see that they can earn more returns from having to play in the global space, they can hedge the fund, they can hedge currency, and also they can play in the capital market. So this will, of course, make them want to play more with our local fund managers, because most of them, the reason why they stay out of our markets basically is because it's been the same thing all this while. Okay, come buy this, mutual fund and all of that. So now coming with NDR to them is new, and then singing the benefits of NDR to their hearing, especially the fact that they can now diversify their currency. So, and I know that will speak mostly to our HNIs, in our space here, so that they want to protect their currency. So it is a very, very good avenue for asset managers in Nigeria to create innovative financial products that will allow people to come and play big in this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kintola. Thank you for your submission. Let me come to Ms. Onome Komolafe, that's CSCS. I mean, you've spoken about this during your presentation, but for the purpose of people that missed it, could you speak to like the critical role in the settlement of securities transaction, and elaborate on the specific settlement framework that has been developed to ensure that efficiency and timeliness of settlements of NDR transactions?
Thank you very much, Ayomide. So very quickly, I think what is important to any investor is to, at the point where you're trading, for any reason, you want to be sure that you're getting your value. So whether you're the one that you're supposed to deliver, get securities or get cash, I think the concern of the investor is that you get your cash when you should get it and your securities. And that's what CSCS is in the market to do. And we've done this for over 25 years. So we already have a structure in the market. And like I said in my presentation, we're just going to ride on that similar structure. We have access to CBN money, which guarantees payment on the cash side. So we've never had failure, whether on cash or securities. And then in terms of the securities side as well, we also ensure through the same mechanism to ensure that securities are delivered. Remember that we are also the depository for the NDRs. So we actually have the NDRs for the buyer and the seller sitting with us in CSCS. So there is no cause for concern in terms of the settlement process of NDRs at all. Again, like I had said, the settlement cycle is also based on the current cycle of T+3 for the stock markets and for fixed income T+2. So I think there's a lot of comfort around the settlement process from CSCS actually.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Abimbola Babalola, let's come to the exchange side. Are you here? Okay, yes. All right, so we understand that NGX is a multi-asset exchange with a diverse range of products, including we have the equities, we have fixed income, we have the ITSI, we have the exchange-traded products and derivatives and whatnot. Now, all of these products are listed on our platform now. How do NDRs now complement NGX existing product offerings, and what makes the NDR products unique when compared to the existing suite of products listed on the exchange?
Yes, thank you very much, Ayomide. I think when you look at Nigerian Depository Receipt, I mean, a lot of the panelists have mentioned the benefit of it, but I think one thing I want to speak to quickly here is that we're bringing where I can say with this product, we'll be internationalizing our market. We'll be exposing our investors, whether institutional investors or retail investors, to seeing opportunities that are available outside of Nigeria in terms of other products. So, you know, if you look at it as an investor, I have an investment objectives, which is part of in terms of return and risk. So with this kind of asset class, what we'll be bringing to Nigerian investors is, you know, either products that assist them in optimizing or maximizing their return, or also products that they can use to hedge their risk position. And one of the risks that everybody wants to speak to is currency. You will see that with this, I can have exposure. I can convert my passion to investment, to a portfolio. You know, if I have a particular brand in mind that I feel I should associate with, you understand, I want to do that. And in terms of knowledge transfer, you know, this product is also going to bring additional knowledge, because the fact that if I invest in a foreign company, it means that I want to start understanding that company. I want to understand the fundamentals that drive the company. I want to understand how the company itself generates revenue, you understand? And also, you know, it enhances my knowledge as to what is happening. I'm no longer a local investor, but an international investor. So today, and that's also the coming of that asset class, you know, like I said, gives me the opportunity to hedge any form of risk, whether it is currency risk, you understand? If I have, I can use it to also hedge, you know, other things, or give an exposure to myself. Take, for instance, now, if I need an exposure to a particular asset class that is not in Nigeria, I can buy, you know, the NDR of any product that relates to that. That gives me the opportunity. Again, in maximizing my return, you understand? It means that if I invest in a company through NDR by investing in the receipt, that foreign company, as its share price is appreciating, you understand, automatically the receipt value is also increasing. So you might see a situation where I am not only, you know, investing in Naira, I'm generating return in double digits, you understand? And I'm also managing my risk. So you know, I think basically, you know, the fact that we're using this product to connect Nigerian market into the international market space. One of the things you also see, apart from this foreign portfolio investment, is you might see a situation where the real company itself abroad can start thinking of bringing what we call direct investment into your country if they discover that a lot of people are not only buying their products, they are also investing in receipt, you understand, of that particular company. Thank you.
All right. So last question, Mr. Babalola. We understand that we can say that MDRs are like relatively new in our climb, the Nigerian market. I mean, how does NGX plan to educate both the domestic and international investors about the benefits and opportunities presented by NDRs? I understand that one of this is what we are doing now. I mean, what are the other things that would put in place in terms of investor education for domestic and international investors?
Thank you very much, Ayomide. You will see that when it comes to investors' education, in fact, is a key pillar for us as NGX, because we believe that the best way to protect an investor is actually to educate them. And how do you educate them? We like you rightly said, one of these investors' webinar is it. We also have partnerships and MOUs with a lot of exchanges, locally and, locally, even in the region and also internationally. So all this education, and if you look at our website, we also provide a lot of information that people can see and leverage. And also we have a platform, you understand, that enables people, because the fact that you've given people education, we have materials on our website, we collaborate with a lot of people, we have X Academy, you understand, that also puts together curriculum, educative, programs that people can subscribe to so that they can have a better appreciation of some of the things we do. Our X-Store program is also there, where we allow educational institution, whether the primary, secondary, or higher institution, to come into the exchange, where we explain to them the significance and the importance of investing, so as to use it as a means of building wealth. We also have regular program that we go into NYSC, we go to universities, campuses, investors week, and all these, all are aimed at, educating investors. And we also have foreign investors who come in, to come and meet with us and ask us questions. We provide all this platform to educate people. And again, I can tell you that we also use our fact behind the figures, the fact behind the offers, as a way of the company themselves, the issuer, educating people. So in terms of education, we do, and we collaborate with every institution, universities. We sign MOU with some of them or have programs that we're running with them. And we also contribute to the curriculum in some of the secondary school in our institution as far as economics, finance is concerned. All this is aimed at educating the investing public, letting them know, because if they know, they will be able to participate more. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have 2 questions for you. We'll just take them like very, very short. If you can answer these questions like 30 seconds, so we wrap up this discussion. I mean, there's one: will there be technical charts available for NDRs, or will the analysis be based on the underlying? Now, what is the minimum entry points or price for retail? And how is this different from ETFs? That's one question. Then, will the NDR cover CP and bonds from the foreign companies? Can we merge these questions together?
So thank you very much. I think the technical analysis will be available. Let me put it this way. Data will be available for both the NDR and the underlying asset. And once you have data, you can use your analytical tools to do the technical analysis. So to answer that question, data will be available that can be used to design the technical analysis chart. In terms of, sorry, the second question again, please.
Will the NDR cover CP and bonds from the foreign companies?
Yes, it's possible. Like I did mention, you understand, it's a function of whoever is issuing it and what is using as the underlying asset. If that is what the investing public needs, they can easily create that.
All right, yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's all. That's all I have for you. Then Ms. Oyelade Vetiva, are you here? Is she here? Yes, all right, yeah, you have one question. What will be the reference for exchange rate determination for prices of NDR? I think that's an interesting question.
Yes, I think I did mention that pricing of the NDR will be dependent on the underlying number one and also the currency rate. I would assume that, I think Onome sort of touched on it when she talked about the CBN helping to determine the rates. I would assume that for a security that is listed on the exchange, it would be the official rate that will be utilized. But this, at the end of the day, depends on the issuer of the security. And there are different ways to determine the exchange rate that will be used for the security. I don't know if that answers your question in any way.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who's participated in this panel discussion. I hope we did justice to all of our questions, and then we made it clear. Each market stakeholder here represented has spoken about how they plan or how it concerns them, the NDR concerns them. Thank you to everyone for listening. My name means I am Diokutoye. And now over to you, Ugochi. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ayo, for handling that moderation in such a unique way. Indeed, thank you. And thank you to our wonderful panel members. Oh my goodness. I did say that the panel members was a wow, and they did not disappoint us at all. So many thanks. We're indeed grateful for that. And just as Bablo has mentioned, yes, X Academy indeed has this as one of its programs for 2025. So please look out for it and come in so that you can hear more from some of our speakers in an in-depth manner. So that said, before we go on to the closing remarks, Mr. Bablo, there is one elephant question, if I may put it that way, which is, when is this coming into place? When is it being launched? When is the NDR product coming in?
Yes, thank you very much, Ugochi. I think I would say by first quarter of 2025, we should see the first NDR product in our market. Thank you.
Fantastic. So to everybody listening, first quarter of 2025, be ready. And just as you have heard from every market player here to say it is safe and it's got lots of benefits. With that, we say thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us once more. Just as we have mentioned, the recording is in our YouTube channel, so please go there so that you can listen to it over and over. Subscribe so that you get more information as we drop it in there. And just to give us our closing remarks and to again, thank you for being here, I'd like to call on the product officer of the Trading and Products Department of the NGX, Mr. Wisdom Emmanuel, to give his closing remarks.
Thank you, Ugochi. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we bring this enlightening session to a close, I would like to express my profound gratitude to everyone who has contributed to its success. Your active participation and insightful questions have reaffirmed the collective commitment to advancing our market and unlocking its full potential. The discussions today have shed a lot of light on the transformative potential of NDRs in broadening access to global markets, enhancing liquidity, and fostering portfolio diversification for investors across all categories. Our panelists today and speakers have provided very invaluable perspective that will undoubtedly guide market participants in leveraging this novel product. I would like to also take this opportunity to reiterate NGX's steadfast commitment to fostering a robust and transparent capital market. We remain dedicated to collaborating with all our esteemed partners, and most especially the SEC, who is our apex regulator. We also want to thank our partners as well, such as Vertical Fund Managers Limited, Lead Capital PSC, Association of Securities Dealing Houses of Nigeria, ASHON, Pension Fund Operators Association of Nigeria, PENOP, Fund Managers Association of Nigeria, FMAN, and Central Securities Clearing System, PLC, CSCS, and all our stakeholders who have ensured the successful adoption and seamless operation of NDRs in Nigeria. To all our participants, we encourage you to apply this knowledge you've gained today and continue to engage with NGX as we strive to innovate, educate, and elevate the Nigerian capital market to greater heights. Thank you for being part of this milestone event. Together, we can shape a brighter and a more prosperous future for the Nigerian financial ecosystem. Thank you once again, and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Wisdom. Again, thank you very much. Again, I echo our thanks to our partners for ensuring that this session held just before the end of the year. We wish you a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and a prosperous New Year as we bring this session to a close. My name again is Ugochi Obiano, oversee the affairs of the X-Academy of the NGX. Thank you so much for being here. The materials are in our YouTube channel. We will send you the materials again via your email so that you can refer to them as you plan towards the new year. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful holiday. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, Aname. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.